I paid my parents $2,100 a month to live at home, then they turned my room into a nursery without asking. Hi, I'm Nate. I'm 30, and 2 weeks ago I found out my childhood bedroom was being turned into a jungle-themed nursery, without my consent. Let me rewind. I'm a paramedic. I work long shifts, sometimes back-to-back, and to save money while paying off student loans, I've been renting my old room from my parents. It's not ideal, but I paid them $2,100 a month to stay there. And I mean stay there, not to be a live-in uncle/ATM. So imagine coming home after a 26-hour shift, still smelling like diesel and dried sweat, just to find my older sister Tanya standing in my doorway, grinning, holding swatches of green paint and a Pinterest board taped to her iPad. "We're turning this into the nursery," she said, as casually as someone announcing what's for dinner. I blinked. I hadn't even taken off my boots yet. "You mean my room?" "It was your room," Tanya corrected, brushing past me like I was the inconvenience. "We're thinking jungle safari vibes. Like chic Tarzan." Behind her, my dad stood in the hallway sipping coffee with that same blank expression he wore at every family meeting, somewhere between boredom and passive complicity. My mom peeked from behind him, giving me that forced smile she saves for when she knows she's done something shady but hopes I won't make a scene. "Where am I supposed to sleep?" I asked, still trying to process if this was a dream, or a prank. My dad shrugged. Not even a full shrug. Just one of those lazy one-shoulder lifts that says, "Not my problem. Figure it out," he said. Families grow. I stared at all three of them. The people I trusted. The ones I paid $2,100 a month to. I thought, I don't live here. I rent here. But apparently that wasn't enough. So I did the only rational thing I could think of in that moment. I moved out that night. I didn't slam the door. I didn't scream or demand an apology. I just grabbed my duffel bag from under the bed, tossed in 2 uniforms, my gym shoes, and my laptop, and walked out like the building was already on fire. I crashed on my buddy Dave's couch that night. He didn't ask for details. Just handed me a beer and said, "Bathroom's down the hall, don't touch the fancy soap, it's my girlfriend's." That was it. That was more hospitality than my own family had shown me. The next morning, I was jolted awake by my phone vibrating violently against the coffee table. Unknown number. I answered, still groggy. "Hello? Hi. This is Martin from Brightness Renovations," said a two-chipper voice. "I'm outside your property and ready to start demo on the nursery." I sat up, heart thudding. "What demo?" There was a pause. We're scheduled to begin work today. Full room renovation. Jungle theme, vines, custom shelving. The deposit was supposed to clear this morning, but the transaction failed, so I'm just checking which card we should use next. I felt my blood go cold. Wait, what name is on that contract? More paper shuffling on his end. Nate Harmon. That's you, right? I nearly dropped the phone. I didn't sign anything. Well, we've got your signature and your email on file, plus this number. The deposit was listed as $8,000. Can you confirm another card to charge? I stood up so fast I banged my knee on the coffee table. Martin. Don't touch a single wall in that house. I'm coming over right now. I hung up and stood there, chest heaving, adrenaline already burning through my system like I was about to go into a 5-alarm blaze. They'd used my name, my email, my bank info. I wasn't just kicked out. They were trying to bill me for it. The drive to my parents' house felt like the slowest emergency response in history. My hands were white-knuckling the wheel the whole way. Not from fear, but rage. Quiet, focused rage. The kind that builds when you realize your own family is comfortable enough to steal from you and confident enough to assume you'll just take it. When I pulled into the driveway, there it was, the Brightness Renovations truck. 2 guys in polos were leaning against it, sipping coffee. One waved like I was just another homeowner on a regular Tuesday. Inside, before I could knock, the front door flew open. My mom, all sweet smiles and fake surprise, stepped out. "Oh, honey, we were just about to call. Why is my name on that contract?" I asked, loud enough that the neighbors probably paused their morning TV. Her smile twitched, then vanished. Inside, my dad was calmly buttering toast like we were in a sitcom. Tanya was at the dining table, scrolling her phone with a smoothie in hand. "Seriously?" I asked. "A $34,000 renovation in my name? Using my info?" Tanya didn't even flinch. "You weren't using the room. You're gone half the time. It just made sense." I blinked. "So you forged my signature?" My dad finally looked up, voice calm as a sedative. "We didn't forge. We signed for you. Your family." "Oh, well, that makes it legal, then," I said deadpan. Tanya actually had the nerve to look annoyed. "Nate, calm down. It's for the baby. We're all pitching in." "Pitching in?" I pulled up my phone and showed them the failed charge on my bank app. $8,000 was just attempted on my account. Nobody even asked me. My mom stepped forward, tone syrupy. "Sweetheart, you know how tight things are. We assumed you'd be okay with helping." "I already help," I snapped. "I've been paying you $2,000 a month to live in my own childhood bedroom. Which, by the way, is now covered in monkey wallpaper." Silence. Then my dad, with zero irony, said, "Well, it's a nice theme." Calming. I nearly laughed. Not from humor, but from disbelief. This was my family. Not confused. Not sorry. Just disappointed I wasn't going along with the scam. I don't know what broke first, my trust or my ability to stay quiet. Maybe both. Because something in me just snapped. Not loud. Not messy. Just final. "You know what the craziest part is?" I said, stepping back like I needed more room to breathe. "You didn't even hesitate. You just used my info like I was a bank account with legs." Tanya scoffed. "You're being so dramatic." I turned to her. "No. Dramatic is thinking a safari mural entitles you to $34,000 of someone else's money." My mom wrung her hands like she was about to cry, but no tears came. "Nate, don't make this worse than it is. We were going to move you to the basement. The one with the cracked foundation and the mildew problem?" I laughed. "Yeah. Sounds cozy." Dad folded his arms. "People have lived in worse." "Sure," I said. "But they weren't paying $2,000 a month for the privilege." I turned back toward the front door and called out, "Martin?" The contractor popped his head inside. "Yeah? Don't do the job," I said. "The name on that contract? That signature? Not mine. And I'm not paying a cent." He glanced at my parents. "Well, I'll need to get some clarification on that." I marched outside and pulled up the email they had forwarded to me weeks ago, when they'd accidentally CC'd me on the renovation plans. The same email that included the contract, already filled out, just waiting for a signature. It was marked, signed, timestamped, traced to their IP address. I showed Martin. "That's your fraud." He paled. "Okay. Yeah. We're going to hold off." Behind me, Tanya burst out of the doorway, voice shrill. "Are you serious right now? You're ruining everything." "No," I said, turning to face her. "I'm stopping you from stealing from me." My dad took a step forward, that old-school intimidation tactic he liked to use. "You're embarrassing this family." I tilted my head. "Then stop giving me reasons to." And then, while everyone watched, I did something that felt like lighting a match in the rain. I opened my banking app and canceled the auto-transfer labeled, Rent Parents. The screen flashed, recurring payment canceled. It felt better than oxygen. Tanya's mouth fell open like I just slapped the smoothie out of her hand. "You can't just stop paying rent," she screeched. "I just did," I said, showing her the confirmation screen like it was my badge of honor. "I don't live here." I don't owe you anything. Mom's voice cracked. But Nate, we counted on that money. I stared at her. You mean the money you tried to steal from me? Silence. The kind that gets loud. Real loud. That kind of silence where everyone realizes the masks aren't working anymore. You act like we're strangers, my dad grumbled. Like we didn't raise you. You raised me, I said. And then decided I was your investment portfolio. That one hit. Mom's face crumpled for a second. But I didn't flinch. Not anymore. Not after everything. Martin and his crew were already loading the tools back into the truck. Tanya stood on the front steps like a princess watching her kingdom collapse. Her arms were crossed so tightly her nails were digging into her skin. You're selfish, she spat. You'll regret this when I'm stuck raising a baby with no help. I laughed. Not cruel, but tired. You're not stuck. You're just mad I won't bail you out. Then I turned to my dad. And don't think I didn't notice you all felt entitled to my paycheck, but not responsible for a single one of your choices. Dad's eyes narrowed. So what? You're cutting us off? Over this? No, I said. I'm cutting you off because this was never about family. It was about access. Mom looked like she wanted to cry but didn't know which emotion to land on. Shame? Fear? Financial panic? And then came the moment I'll never forget. Tanya stepped closer and said, Do you want your niece to grow up thinking her uncle didn't care? And I said, Do you want her to grow up thinking it's normal to guilt people into debt? She blinked, like that had never occurred to her. I opened my car door and said calmly, I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm just choosing not to be used. Then I drove away, leaving them in the driveway, stunned and swaying like the house itself had just shifted on its foundation. I didn't cry on the way back. I didn't scream. I didn't even blast music like in those dramatic movie moments. I just drove in silence, windows cracked, cold air curling around me like the kind of calm that only comes after a storm you didn't start, but had to end. Back at Dave's place, he looked up from the couch as I walked in, holding my duffel and the weight of an entire family's disappointment. You good? He asked. I nodded. Better than I've been in a long time. That night, I did 3 things. First, I called my bank, filed a fraud report, and froze my card. The woman on the phone was efficient and professional, which felt like a warm bath after the emotional cold war of my parents' house. She said they'd flagged the $8,000 attempt as suspicious. Apparently, the only member of my family who protected me was the algorithm. Second, I changed every single password, email, banking, insurance, even my Spotify. Anything they'd ever helped me set up or had. Just in case. Access to. 2-factor everything. It felt like changing the locks on my entire life. Third, I called a small apartment complex near the station. I'd seen their flyer on a bulletin board months ago, just never thought I'd need it. They had 1 unit available. No jungle wallpaper, no smoothie-stained furniture, just a worn carpet and a door that locked from the inside. I moved in the next day. Dave helped me carry boxes. And by boxes I mean 1 duffel bag, a laundry basket of stuff, and a garbage bag full of things I was too tired to sort. When we were done, he handed me a folding chair and a 6-pack. You look like you just got out of a cult, he joked. I laughed. Worse. Family entitlement. He raised a beer. Welcome to your own life, man. I sat down on the floor, back against the wall, and for the first time in years, the silence didn't feel loaded. It felt like peace. The silence didn't last long. 3 days later, my phone lit up with messages like fireworks. Missed calls. Voicemails. Group chat explosions. My mom. My dad. Tanya. Even my aunt chimed in with a vague, guilt-laced, "Families fight, but we forgive." I ignored them all, until one message almost got me. It was from Tanya. "Do you want your niece to grow up thinking you didn't care?" That one hit different. It poked a bruise I didn't know I still had. Because yeah, I do care. I cared enough to stay longer than I should have. I cared enough to pay rent even when it bled me dry. I cared enough to keep showing up, over and over, hoping they'd do the same. But caring doesn't mean staying quiet while people walk all over you. So I sent one message to the family group chat. I'm not paying for the renovation. I'm not paying rent anymore. My information was used without my consent. Do not contact me about money again. Tanya replied almost instantly. Wow. So you're really choosing money over family? I stared at that message for a long time. And then I wrote back. No. You chose money over family. You just assumed it was mine. After that, the group chat went still. Not one reply. For a moment, it almost felt peaceful, until I got a call from an unknown number. This is Officer Delgado with the Financial Crimes Division, said a calm voice on the other end. Are you Nathan Harmon? My spine straightened. Yes? I'd like to ask you some questions regarding a report of identity misuse involving a home renovation contract. I sat down slowly, heart thudding. Okay. 2 hours later, I was sitting in a tiny, windowless room across from Delgado and his partner, showing them emails, screenshots, timestamps, walking them through everything. From the forged signature to the bounce charge. They didn't say much. Just nodded. Took notes. Asked a few questions like, did they have access to your accounts? How long had you been paying rent? Did you ever authorize any of these payments? And then Delgado said something I'll never forget. We see this a lot with families. They think access equals permission. I swallowed hard. What happens next? He folded his notebook closed. We investigate. You keep records. And don't let guilt talk you into dropping it. That night I went to work. A real call came in, house fire, single mother, 2 kids. Smoke already curling out of the top window when we got there. I didn't hesitate. I went in. And as I carried one of those kids out of the building, her arms wrapped around my neck like I was the only safe thing left, I realized something. I was finally done running into burning buildings at home for people who kept lighting the match. A month passed. No texts. No voicemails. Just radio silence, until one Saturday morning, I heard banging on my apartment door like the building was on fire. I peeked through the peephole. It was my mom. Hair done. Lipstick on. Eyes already watery like she'd practiced this moment in the car. She looked like she was about to star in a very dramatic Lifetime movie called Son, Come Home. I opened the door just enough for her to see I was there, but not enough to invite her in. Nate, she breathed like my name hurt. We need to talk. What do you want? I asked, calm as a locked safe. She blinked at the bluntness. We're in trouble. With the contractor. And the police called. I nodded. Yeah. They did. We didn't mean to hurt you, she said. We thought you'd help. I did help, I said. For years. You just stopped seeing it because the money never ran out. Until now. She looked past me like she expected to see the younger version of me, quiet, tired, willing. But I wasn't there anymore. Tanya's really stressed, she whispered. The baby's almost here. Don't, I said. Don't use the baby as a shield. Her face crumpled. Real tears now. Or maybe they were just finally landing. We didn't think you'd say no, she said. That's the problem, I replied. You didn't think you had to ask. She nodded slowly, like she was finally understanding. And then, like a punchline to the worst joke ever, she said the one thing that proved she still didn't get it. But what about the money you owe us for living there? I actually laughed. Not bitter, just stunned. Goodbye, Mom. And I closed the door. After she left, the quiet in my apartment felt different. Lighter. Like air after rain. No guilt. No weight pressing on my chest. Just the stillness of a life that finally belonged to me. People ask if I regret it, cutting ties, walking away, drawing a line in the ash. And I always go back to that moment, Tanya in my doorway, holding paint samples like my life was a blank canvas for her plans. My dad shrugging like I was the problem for wanting respect. My mom saying, "Family expands," like that explained the eviction notice disguised as a nursery. Here's what I've learned. You can run into burning buildings for strangers and still get burned at home by people who claim to love you. But you don't have to stand there and call it warmth. I still help people. I still show up. I still do the job. Just not for those who treat my love like an open wallet. And now, when I come home, really home, I have a door that stays mine. No one paints over it. No one reclaims it. No one tells me to figure it out. Because I already did. And that's when I realized I wasn't just saving other people from the fire. I was saving myself.